Hey everyone, in this video, I'm going to answer which one I think is the better stock to buy today, Nvidia or PayPal. Now, before you start saying what do these two have in common and why are you comparing these two seemingly unrelated stocks, I'll tell you why. Nvidia and PayPal are on my list of top 24 stocks to buy. So a lot of my followers are curious which one is better, right? I have both of them ranked in the top 24 as best stocks to buy in 2024. They want to know which one is the better one. So in this video, I'll compare these two and then provide my answer for which one I think is the better of these two stocks that I recommend as buys.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
All right, the first thing I'm going to compare these two on is revenue. And what you'll notice here is before 2023, they were on a similar growth trajectory. PayPal had greater revenue than Nvidia for the better part of the last 5 years, and then Nvidia's revenue started to explode, fueled by the rising effectiveness of artificial intelligence, and you can see that pronounced surge in revenue here for Nvidia, surpassing PayPal significantly here, more than doubling its revenue to 60.92 billion in the trailing 12 months compared to 29.77 billion for PayPal. And for the next 2 years at least, Nvidia's growth will surpass PayPal's according to Wall Street analysts and according to my projections as well. The next metric I wanted to compare these two on is operating profit margin. Nvidia 54.12% operating profit margin, one of the best operating profit margins in the world. PayPal at 16.61% operating profit margin. Furthermore, Nvidia is demonstrating clear economies in scale. As it's grown its revenue, its operating profit margin has increased, whereas PayPal hasn't really demonstrated that in the last 5 years, as more of its business is shifting towards the unbranded checkout service it has versus its PayPal branded checkout service, which generates higher profit margins. Going forward, that will likely persist, and PayPal's profit margins are not expected to rise much more from here. Similarly, I don't think Nvidia's profit margins are likely to rise much more from here. This is likely close to its peak operating profit margin. Maybe it'll go a little bit higher, maybe up to as much as 60% briefly. I'll highlight that briefly. I don't think it'll stay there. I think competition will erode Nvidia's profit margins and pricing power in the artificial intelligence GPU space. I'm already seeing competition ramping up production, competing not head on with Nvidia, but taking certain segments of the market away from Nvidia, most notably the lower end segment, the area where the basic offering GPUs to enhance artificial intelligence, not the cutting edge technology, because right now Nvidia is at least one step ahead of everyone else. More likely it's 2 steps ahead of everyone else. And so you can't compete with Nvidia head on the top end of the range, but you can compete with Nvidia on the bottom end of the range, where you can offer lower price products that maybe Nvidia buyers are not interested in the best in class and paying the superior price. Still, the difference between these two operating profitability is pronounced and will likely remain so for several years. Let's look at analyst forecast for PayPal and Nvidia. For earnings per share per year for the next 5 years, analysts on Wall Street expect PayPal's earnings per share to rise by 19.8% for the next 5 years. That's robust profitability growth, to be sure, and one of the reasons why I have PayPal stock rated as one of my top stocks to buy right now. For revenue growth, analysts on Wall Street expect PayPal's revenue to increase by 7% in 2024 and then 8% in 2025. Modest growth for PayPal over the next 2 years. For Nvidia, analysts on Wall Street expect earnings per share to rise by 36% per year over the next 5 years, nearly twice the rate of PayPal over the next 5 years. For sales growth, analysts on Wall Street expect Nvidia's revenue to increase by 81% in 2025 and then 21.6% in 2026. In 2025, this is roughly 10 times the rate of growth for PayPal comparatively, and then more than 2 times the growth rate of PayPal in 2026. So Nvidia demonstrating much better revenue growth expectations for the next 2 years and much better earnings per share growth prospects over the next 5 years, demonstrating a clear advantage over PayPal in terms of growth prospects over the next several years. The next metric I wanted to compare these two on is cash flow from operations to sales. And again, in this metric, Nvidia demonstrates its superiority at 46.11% in the most recent trailing 12-month period versus 16.27% for PayPal in its most recent trailing 12-month period. And given the forecasts for sales and profit growth over the next several years, I wouldn't be surprised if Nvidia's advantage compared to PayPal expands in this metric over the next 2 years and over the next 5 years as well. Finally, I wanted to compare these two on valuation, and the metric I chose to use is the forward price to earnings ratio. So for now, what we saw here is clearly that Nvidia is the superior company compared to PayPal. But there's a lot of things that are superior than others, but then their price is much more, right? Similar to when you go car shopping, of course the BMW is more expensive than the Honda. But is it worth that extra price? Well, that's why we look at the valuation to see if it's worth that extra price. Right now, PayPal is trading at roughly 2.5 times the value. Nvidia is trading at roughly 2.5 times the value of PayPal at a forward PE of 29.89 compared to PayPal's forward PE of 11.19. So if they were trading at the same price, I would choose Nvidia. It would be a no-brainer. But Nvidia trading at more than 2.5 times the value of PayPal, that's where it starts to become a difficult decision, because yes, Nvidia was superior to PayPal in every single metric. But was it enough to deserve this much of a premium over PayPal stock? My answer is yes, I think so. I think Nvidia has clearly demonstrated superiority against PayPal across all the vital metrics, including expectations over the next several years, including the industry that it operates in being superior to the industry that PayPal operates in, and Nvidia's position vis-a-vis competition compared to PayPal's position versus its competition. Nvidia is clearly way ahead of its competition, whereas PayPal is not clearly ahead of its competition in the financial services industry. So for all the metrics that we looked at, and for everything that I know about these two companies, having followed them for at least 5 years, I would pick Nvidia over PayPal even at current valuations today. But let me remind you, I have both of these stocks rated as a buy. In fact, they're both on my list of top 24 stocks to buy, the video for which I will link at the end of this one. Before I let you go, let me tell you about the greatest deal on YouTube. With just a click of a button, you can get free financial analysis from a professor with decades of investing experience. So what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.